Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley and my partner is Jonathan. And today we are going to go over the Google Play Store dataset. Okay, to start off with the agenda, we are going to pre-process the data and we will discuss how we found the average of price, the maximum review number, the first app with the highest number of reviews, and the genre of app with the highest number of reviews. From there, we will go into the pivot tables and charts and how we created those. Next will be the data dashboard, and we will end it with the business questions. So to start off with the average of price, I found the average of price by adding a total row in the table design tab. From there, I used the average function and highlighted the price column to find the average of price, which in this case is 1.0865. Now I will pass it on to my partner to go from here.
I use the max function to calculate what is the highest review number, and this answers the question number 4. The next slide. So how I got strategy street is the highest number of reviews. Is I start with the maximum review numbers first, and then I use a VLOOKUP function to find which one of the genre of the apps with the highest number of reviews, and it shows the strategy. That shows the answer is strategy. Next slide. The first pivot table is review class versus types. It shows the lowest class that download the free apps. For what I'm seeing, the paid apps, it shows that not most of the user did not download the paid apps, and the lowest review class is the highest, and they download the overall download from the high review class is 643. Next slide. The second pivot table is content rating versus price, and it shows the everyone from the row labels. So it shows that the sum of price is 7,868. Next slide. The third pivot table is rating versus reviews, and the highest review number from the rating is 4.4, and their review numbers is 896. Next slide. The fourth pivot table is the category versus the type. That it shows a lot of free apps, but was installed in different categories. There are some of the categories that don't have the paid apps. Next slide.
Okay, so after creating the pivot tables, we were able to create the pivot charts. And I did this by first clicking on the pivot table, and then from there I click on the pivot table analyze pop-up. From there I click on pivot chart in the tool section, and then on the pivot chart screen I chose the chart that was needed. And for the first example, I had to use a column chart, which shows the review class versus type. For the second pivot chart, a pie chart was needed, and this pie chart shows the content rating versus the price. The third pivot chart was a bar chart, and this shows the rating versus the reviews. The last pivot chart is a line chart, and from here it shows the category versus type. After creating all the pivot charts, I created a new Excel worksheet I named it the data dashboard, and I copy and pasted all the pivot charts onto this worksheet. I also had to add slicers, and in order to create these slicers, I clicked on the pivot chart, and then from there I went and then I clicked on the slicer in the filter section. In the pop-up slicer screen, I chose the genre option. And in order to connect all my pivot charts to the slicer, I had to click on the slicer in the pop-up, and then from there I clicked on report connections. And that was what I did with both the genre slicers and the content rating slicers. So they all worked with all 4 pivot charts. So for business question number 17, it asks, a new developer is interested to know for the apps in the action genre, how many installs are reported for free apps with a high number of reviews? In order to find this, I used a genre slicer and I filtered it to action. From there, I looked at the review class versus type pivot chart and I hovered over the high rating right here. And then the answer was that there are 103 installs. For question number 18, it asks, find out if there is any relationship between the customer rating and the number of reviews by customers. I found this answer by looking at the rating versus reviews pivot chart. In the apps, I did notice that there is a relationship because the apps with the high rating also have a high number of reviews compared to the apps with low ratings. They also have a low number of reviews. So there is a relationship between customer rating and customer reviews. Okay, now I will pass it on to my partner to do the last 2 business questions.
For question number 19, the answer is whereas they fade the and the category of this free app is lifestyle, and it has the 141 reviews. How I got it, how I got the answer is I started creating the pivot table. I highlighted the tables, and the row areas are app and categories. I put reviews in the value areas. I select type as free. The next I select everyone 10 plus, mature plus, and teens. I did select everyone because it means regardless of how old the user can use their apps, whereas everyone 10 plus means 10 years old or older can use the app except user who is under 10 years old. I select 5 from the ratings to find the highest user rating. For some reason, high is the highest user rating it can go. The question asks which category of free apps has the highest user rating and is suitable for teens. Lastly, after I click some of reviews, I select the value field settings. I change from sum to max, therefore it changes the value from sum of reviews to max of reviews. The max of reviews shows what's the maximum of reviews. As a result, Rails Fei has 141 reviews while rating as 5. So it shows 141 user who reviews the Rails Fei. If I select the teen from the contact rating to find specific free apps for teen, it shows CL notifier. CL notifier is a category for tools. The CL notifier has 36 reviews while rating as 5. One review isn't enough to talk about how good or bad the app is. my conclusion is the Rails Cafe has more re reviews and users than SEO notifiers. Yeah, which is why I use Slicer on rating content, rating type app, and get apps category and reviews. Next slide. For question 20, there are 4 charts that caught my attention on the data dashboards. First, a pivot column chart. Most of the users download the app that is for free. That I know the user would rather download the free app than the paid apps. The second, the pie chart. It shows mostly everyone like to download the free apps. That most of user doesn't download the paid apps. As for the legend tables, one of the legend labels said teens, and I noticed teens labels that didn't include how old the teenagers should be. The teens age range is 12 to 17 years old. Next is bar chart. An app with 4.4 rating has many reviews. Lastly, a line chart. From my perspective, most of the users, such as all the 6 content ratings, download the category for finance. And that concludes our sites.